Welcome to the Vuolearning online learning platform. In this video, we go through tips on how to create a competency matrix on the Vuolearning platform and how to utilize it for organizations' competence management. A competency matrix is an efficient tool that allows the organization to systematically map and manage the skills of its personnel. It helps to identify the current skill levels, development needs, and potential skill gaps. A competency matrix is a table where the employee's skills are visualized. Typically, the horizontal axis lists skills areas, for example, programming languages, project management, or customer service skills, while the vertical axis represents employees. The cells indicate the level of expertise for each skill. In Vuolearning, the horizontal axis can display either individual competencies, their levels, or role or task-specific competence profiles composed of multiple competencies. The competency matrix can be used to identify development areas and plan training. The matrix shows what competencies the organization is lacking. When the skills gaps have been identified, the organization can offer targeted training such as online courses or mentoring. The matrix can support recruitment efforts. By identifying missing skills, it becomes easier to determine where new hires should be focused. The matrix can also aid in employees' career development. Employees can be offered opportunities to transition into new roles within the organization based on their current competencies and ambitions. The matrix enables also succession planning when someone is leaving or being promoted to another position. The competency matrix helps to make sure that the right people are in the right roles, tasks align with the employees' competencies, and teams have a diverse set of competencies, allowing the organization to leverage its expertise in the best possible way. In addition, the competency matrix can support change management. If, for example, the organization is shifting to a new business model or adopting a new technology, the competency matrix can help to assess whether the employees have the necessary skills for the transition. The matrix can also support strategic planning. If the organization has a goal that all employees should have a basic understanding of artificial intelligence, for example, the matrix can be used to track whether this goal is met or which employees currently have the skills and could train others. To utilize the competency matrix, start by defining the necessary competencies and competence profiles and then build those on the platform. So begin by outlining the needed competence profiles. List the roles or job positions within the organization. These could include, for example, customer service representative, marketing coordinator, or project manager. Next, identify the competencies that are essential to the organization's operations. Also, list skills that may be lacking but are needed in the future. Competencies could include, for example, communication skills, leadership skills, software knowledge, ability to operate a certain machine, or Excel skills. Once this foundation is established, the next step is to define the specifics of each competence. Let's see how to define the competencies in more detail. You can enable levels for each competence. The number of the levels and their names could be agreed on so that they are consistent within the organization. Here's one example of defining 5 levels: beginner, basic, intermediate, advanced, and professional. You can define categories for competencies. With the categories, it's easier to search for a certain competence, for example, when granting competencies. A category could be a larger skills area such as sales, marketing, management, or communication. Each competence has a name and a description. Also, the competence levels can have descriptions. Here is an example of a competence project management and its levels and their descriptions. The descriptions for the competence and its levels should be defined as clearly as possible. You can, for example, add concrete examples of tools that should be mastered in each level or how independently the employee should be able to work, and also list areas where the employee could still need help. With clear descriptions, it's easier to assess the employee's skills, and it will also ensure that all the employees will receive consistent grading of their skills. Level descriptions also bring transparency to the employees about their skills and form concrete steps that they can follow in order to achieve competencies. You can utilize AI to help you create the level descriptions. Consider prompts such as define 5 different competence levels in sales. You can also define the prompt more clearly, for example, by asking the AI to tailor the descriptions for a certain field. Edit the texts created by AI to fit your organization. Competencies are created and managed in the platform's users page in User Competencies. Click on Add Competence. Then give the competence a name and click on Add. Add a description to the competence. You can also add translations for the name and the description. If you want, add a category. You can add an existing category or a new one. You can define whether the users can add the competence to themselves or not. If necessary, enable competence levels. Then you can add the needed number of levels, names and descriptions for each level, and also translations if needed. When ready, click on Save. You can edit or delete the competence behind the 3 dots. Competencies can be created by super admins and admins. When you have listed the needed competence profiles for your organization, next you can define the competencies that are included in each of the profiles. Remember to also define which level of the competence is needed. The same competence can be a part of multiple profiles. You can also give a description for the profile. When you have added the competencies to the platform and defined which competencies are linked to which profile, it's easy to create the profiles on the platform. Go to the Users page and choose Competence Profiles. Then click on Create Competence Profile. Add a title for the profile and a description, and if needed, translations. Then choose the competencies or competence levels that are needed for this profile from this drop-down menu. Then click on Add. You can edit and delete the profiles behind the 3 dots. The profiles are in use only in the 3-level user model and can only be created by super admin. Competencies can be added and received in many ways. The user can get competencies by completing courses, learning paths, or achievements, or they can be added by their supervisors or by themselves. You can automate the adding of competencies by linking them to corresponding training materials. Supervisors can also assess their team members' skills and add competencies for them, for example, as a part of performance reviews. The information about the skills can also be gathered from the employees themselves, for example with surveys. The employees can also be allowed to add competencies by themselves. Competencies can also be linked to existing training materials that users have already completed. You can decide whether you want to grant the competence for the users with the completion of that particular material. This means that you can start using the competencies retrospectively even if you have already been using the platform for a while. Next, we can start analyzing the results. Let's see some examples on how to utilize the competency matrix and filter the needed information. The competency matrix can be found in the Users page in Competency Matrix. In the first example, we want to use the matrix to support recruitment decisions and find out whether the organization has enough customer service skills. From Select Columns, choose the competence Customer Service. Now we have only one column visible, the one we are interested in. Let's keep the view as competencies. Then sort the users by user competencies. Now we can easily see that the 3 top users have all the levels of this particular competence, and the following user has some levels of the competence. This gives us a picture of the organization's level of this competence. If you want to find out the number of users who have all the levels of this competence, you can add a user filter by choosing filter users, then the competence, and then its highest level. Now we only see those users that have all the levels of this competence. In the second example, we want to find out which employee would be the perfect fit for a certain project. The requirement is that they should have the full competence profile of customer service expert, or at least most of it. First, let's choose the profile from select columns. Then change the view to competence profiles because we want to examine the profiles and not individual competencies. Then sort the users by user competencies. Now we can see the people with most competencies at the top of the list. Users that have the green mark have achieved all the competencies linked to the profile. The orange mark tells us that the user has some competencies of this profile, but not all. By clicking on the user, we can see in more detail what competencies linked to this profile they have and what they are still missing. In the last example, I want to find out my team's skill levels. Do they have any skill gaps and what kind of training I should offer them? First, let's filter only my team by choosing my team from filter users. In this view, I can see which competencies and competence gaps my team has. I can view either competencies or competence profiles depending on what I'm interested in. And I can also filter only those competencies or competence profiles that I'm interested in. The users can view their competencies in their own profile. Here they can also add competencies for themselves if that is enabled, and ambitions, which are those competencies that they would want to learn. Here the user can also compare their competencies to the platform's competence profiles. This brings transparency to the user on how they can advance their career in the company and what skills they might want to improve. The user's competencies are visible to HR, supervisors, and the users themselves, so everyone knows the current situation and goals. As a summary, here are the key steps you can take in order to create a competency matrix in Vuolearning.